is time for Around the 412 with Smitty and Tyler.
Guten Tag und willkommen zu einer weiteren Episode von Around the 412. Mein Name ist Tyler und bei mir ist wie immer Smitty. Welcome back to another episode of Around the 412. I'm Tyler. With me as always is my co-host Smitty. Go follow us on all of our social medias at Around the 412. Also, go check out Game Changers, our recently new sponsor. Smitty, if you've been following Smitty's clothing apparel for a while, I don't know how you can. He loves to post it all the time. He owns like 25 plus shirts. I'm going to be ordering my first shirts here in the next like week or two. Planning on getting a UFC shirt up for UFC 303. They actually do have UFC shirts. I DM'd them and they found out they're in a certain part of their website. But speaking of their website, go check out GameChanger.la or Pick6.la. GameChanger.la has everything outside of football, plus football, and then Pick6.la is football. You can use code AT412 for $10 off of your order, and that is more than 10%. That is $10 off the order. So go ahead, check out Game Changers. It is the logo above me if you're watching over on YouTube, and we got it down on the ticker as well. GameChangers.la, Pick6.la. Go check them out and get some sick t-shirts. Also, sorry for the intro. I figured I'd try to be a little funny and just
I'm still thrown off
real quick. That was a German intro. Basically the same thing I say to open up every single show. But in the last 2 weeks, I've been in Europe. I was in Paris for 4 days and then went over to Germany and was in Germany and Austria a little bit as well for about a week. So going on vacation with my family. It was a lot of fun. I wasn't able to make night one of the draft party, but I was able to sneak into night two for honestly close to 2 hours. I was in there for like an hour and 45 minutes or hour and 40 minutes. So that was pretty fun to be able to hop in there. I'm sure my wife really appreciated it while she was trying to sleep. It was like 2:45 a.m. in Paris. But it was pretty cool. But yeah, we're back. This is the Pirates show. And the Pirates are doing about as well as when I left, which is not very good. So not much has changed.
No, absolutely not. I will say this is crazy. Like I mentioned as a joke right before we started recording. Hope we remember how to do this. I mean, this is the first episode we've done in quite a while. I've done some like standalone videos. Obviously, wanted to put up something recapping the draft class and stuff. But this is the first podcast we've done since draft week. So yeah, very excited to be back. We will talk about the Steelers and football in a different episode. You guys can go check that out. Maybe by the time you're watching this, depends on when you're watching or listening. But this is the Pirates episode. And despite where the team has been playing over the last, month or so, and now being 4 games under 500, which is a far cry from the way that they started off the season, they've done it again. They've injected some life into this ball club because they're calling up Paul Skenes, set to start on Saturday, make his major league debut, 4:05 first pitch against the Chicago Cubs. Being against the Cubs at PNC Park on a Saturday, not too early, not too late, 4:05 start time. Could you write it any better than this for Paul Skenes' debut?
Frick the Super 2. All my homies hate the Super 2. I'm actually happy that the Pirates win against the grain of their own habits, because we've seen in the past that they have practically refused to call up somebody, even if though it made total sense at the time to bring them up. But they wanted to get to that Super 2 in June and get that service time, that extra year. Obviously, they are ignoring that, and I'm happy they're ignoring that. I think it's much needed. I think that the Pirates, and I talked about this back when the beginning of the season was happening, and we were talking about Paul Skenes. It seems like we were talking about Paul Skenes a ton in the preseason, because that's pretty much all there was to talk about, whether he would be up on the club or not, or when he'll be up in the club. And we talked about, and I talked about how I think the Pirates might get put into a situation where they want to wait until June, but if push comes to shove, they might have to bring him up earlier, despite their desire to wait until that Super 2. And I think in part of that is because they've seen that. So I think the Pirates have shown that they can play well. They just haven't been playing well overall recently. And I think that and part of that is just the bats have gone completely cold, and the pitching is better than expected, better than we all expected. And so I think that in order to like get some more injection into the elbow for this team, they got to bring up Paul Skenes as well and continue to add on to that already higher than expectation pitching staff. And hopefully that can rejuvenate some life into the ball club and and hopefully the bats get going as well. But to me, this shows that I genuinely think that the Pirates want to improve before summer, because if they didn't, I don't see why they would be bringing him up now. And I understand that there's probably actual baseball reasons, but when I look at like fan perspective, the Pirates have no reason to give in to fan desires and bring up Paul Skenes. They have every reason to want to save him for an extra year and wait until June. So what this bringing him up to pitch on Saturday says to me is that they're actually wanting to turn on this ball club around, which is more than I can say for years past. And I know that there's probably certain parts of this Pirates team that probably fans are looking at it and says that goes against what I'm saying right now. And in much part, like Andy Haynes coaching staff changes and stuff like that. That's a whole different conversation. But to me, I think that calling up Paul Skenes is an easier decision than making any sort of staff changes when it in terms of showing that you're trying to improve this ball club. I'm surprised that it's happening. I am genuinely surprised, because I was not sure if they were going to be doing it until June, because I mean, we were already in May. It's only another month away. I figured they could just try to ride the coattails as long as they could, but push has come to shove, and Paul Skenes is going to be pitching on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't fully even understand the service time stuff. I was trying to look into it here as you were talking. Like, because I think that they got the extra year just by because I know that they recently changed that. I thought service time manipulation. That's what I'm looking for here. So 1 year service time, maximum amount of player can gain in one season is 172 days. A single baseball season lasts 187. So basically, after the first 16 days of the season, they could have called him up at any time to gain the extra.
Oh, is that
year.
new? Like recently?
I don't know. Waiting
That's
just
the whole
16
point
days
was
to
you
call
had
the
to wait
player
till
can
June
give.
for that first year to basically not count.
Waiting just 16 days to call up a player can give a team an extra season to control a player. The extra season can also be with league minimum salary, since players do not become eligible for salary arbitration until they have accumulated 3 years, which we knew that, and then the 3 years of ARB. So, yeah, and that's all it really says here about it. So, I guess they could have called him up anytime after the first, like, 2-ish weeks of the season with already gaining the extra year.
So what are we waiting for?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing too. It's like, don't get me wrong. People were calling to see Paul Skenes, but with the way that they have been pitching, like, I mean, honestly, top to bottom, like I know that like Quinn Priester has certainly not looked great. He's also only gotten one total run of support in 4 starts. Bailey Falter has had some really good starts and some that have been kind of like looking like a back end starter, but like it's at least looked like a back end starter. Like nobody's really gotten like blown up to the point where we're calling for Skenes because of performance from the rotation. It's just solely wanting to see Paul Skenes. So I don't know. Maybe the performance of the other pitchers has also kind of played into that. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, it's now happening. And to your point about the bats, I don't think he should be coming alone either. Nick Gonzalez, who, I mean, I'm not high on. I will say that. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think that he's anything special, but he's tearing it up in AAA right now. Certainly deserves a second look at the major league level. I'd be bringing him up with him. And I'll be honest, Jake Lamb, I think with the way that he's hitting AAA deserves a shot. With you're getting absolutely nothing from Rowdy Tellez over at first base either. So I don't know. I know that you'd have to open up some spot. Actually, I think you'd have to DFA 2 guys to make that happen, because Skenes has to be selected and added to the 40-man roster. I don't believe Jake Lamb is on the 40-man roster. So I think you would need to clear 2 spots to do that.
I mean, I can think of at least one right off the top of my head. And I feel bad because I know from a TikTok that his father-in-law texts him before every game. But Alika Williams, he can go.
I mean, I would think it would be one pitcher, and I thought you were just going to say, like, to me, Rowdy Tellez, I'm already over that experiment. The team probably isn't to that point yet, but it would be Rowdy Tellez and then whatever pitcher for me that I'm getting rid of.
Yeah.
I think the thing with Alika, although if you're bringing up Nick Gonzalez, it might be a bit redundant, but like I just feel like having a guy that can defensively play anywhere is a huge plus to the team. I know you have Triolo that can play a lot of the same positions as well. Have we seen Triolo at he might have played short like an inning or something last year, but he hasn't done it this year. Triolo can play first, I guess, and Alika can play short. That's where the two differ. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not like pounding the table one way or another about Alika Williams, but I would probably get rid of Tellez before I got rid of Alika Williams personally. That said, talking about the bats, yeah, they have gone absolutely quiet. I will say Brian Reynolds changed his walk-up music, and I feel like he's been swinging a better bat as of late with that. O'Neal Cruz, I feel like has started to look a bit more comfortable at the plate. But like, I mean, Jack Sawinski, that was my guy that I said coming into the season I thought was going to have like a breakout year. The underlying numbers were good last year, looking for more consistency. Yeah, that has not happened whatsoever. Rowdy Tellez, we mentioned him. Kutch has not been good. Michael A. Taylor, I don't think he has a hit this month still yet. Edward Olivares has cooled off. What's weird is Olivares has been like going back to last year. I know I mentioned this before about the home runs being unlucky last year. Like he had 12 home runs for Kansas City, but like his projected total was like 20. It's just like he got super unlucky. Now he's getting super unlucky across the board this year with his hitting. Like his expected batting average is like 286 or something like that. Like, so I feel like those are going to start to drop as long as he continues to go with the same approach. He'll get some of those to fall, but he hasn't done much other than the grand slam as of late in terms of actual production. Honestly, Connor Joe, probably the most consistent Pirates hitter this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at MLBs.com, just their splits over the last 7 days, last 15 days, and then the season to date, and it's not great. There has been improvement from some guys over the last 7 days when you compare it from the last 15 days. Like you can see some improvement from Brian Reynolds. He went from 204 for the last 15 days. Last week he's been 267, so that's been going up. Last 7 days, O'Neal Cruz is batting over 300, 333. So that's better. And Connor Joe, yeah, he's batting 316 in the last week, and over the last over the last 15 days, Connor Joe's been batting 273. Been very consistent. Some of the other guys though have just been pretty miserable. To be completely honest, like. Yep. It like pains me to say like Kutch probably cooked. Tellez, he's just a chubby guy whiffing the bat up there, and that's why I think that. So I remember before I left, we had a big conversation about like Andy Haynes and the philosophy of hitting and everything like that. And while I understand Andy Haynes can be an issue, at what point is it just like these players are just not getting it done?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's certainly some has to fall on the individuals, but like if you're an entire team going into a slump collectively for this long of a period of time, like that's got to fall on somebody. Like I'm not saying that he is the end all be all reason for this, but somebody's got to be held accountable, and it's going to be one coach over 9 players every day of the week.
Yeah.
So ultimately,
at what point does it go past Haynes and go to Shelton?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I almost looked at it. I hate like when we try to cross over with the other sports, but like I was kind of looking at this situation similarly to Mike Sullivan and Todd Reardon. Like, how long are we going to put up with this? Is this Shelton's guy and he's going to like fall on a sword for him? Or how is this whole thing going to play out? I certainly believe that they would move on from Andy Haynes before Derek Shelton, but I didn't even know this until Alex Stumpf brought it up on an episode of North Shore 9 recently. Andy Haynes did a new contract prior to this season. So I don't know that they're
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to cut the cord, one season into this. Like, and it's got to get really bad, like for a very long period of time if they are going to do so. But I don't know, man. Like I think that might have been like the last episode that we recorded, the last Pirates episode we recorded, where I was like, we had these heightened expectations for the offense coming into this year. Did we just like completely forget that Andy Haynes was the hitting coach when doing that? Like,
yeah, it was.
I know that like the players on paper, we had hope for what this offense could be, full season of O'Neal Cruz back. I know that you weren't necessarily as high on Jack Sawinski, but like you at least figured the power numbers were going to be there. Brian Reynolds, I feel like definitely more to give than what he did last year with the way T. Brian ended last season. Certainly thought that could carry over. And then the way that a lot of these guys were hitting in spring, we expected the bats to come north. So, and that just hasn't happened pretty much across the board. And it's really hard to figure out. It's puzzling, but actually our only question, Pirates related, people not excited to talk about the Pirates right now. And I totally get that, was related to Andy Haynes. And John Gorman just said, why is Andy Haynes still employed by this organization? Or I'm sorry, he said stealing money from this stupid organization. So he put it a little bit more elegantly than I put out originally. Like I said, he just got a new contract this past offseason. I just, knowing that, I didn't know that prior to like a week ago, whatever it was that Alex brought that up. Knowing that, I have a hard time believing that he doesn't at least get to the end of this year, which is very unfortunate. I would like to be able to sit here and tell you that I thought they could move on at the All-Star break or somewhere around there. Just really hard for me to see that happening with the way that they operate.
Yeah, I think it's tough too, because I feel like you'd have to be in a very awkward situation as a team for that to happen, especially like around the All-Star break. Like you basically would have to be in a position where your team is on the cusp of being a great team, but it's so clear that this is the one problem. And to relate it to another sport, like it has to be so clear that Matt Canada was the problem that he's gone. It has to be without a shadow of a doubt that even if they're not going to be a ton better, but like this has to get out of the room. If it's affecting the locker room, if it's affecting that clubhouse, then that would be the thing that would have to get him out. Otherwise, I just don't see it happening. And I don't know what it's going to take in order to get to that point. Maybe it is a awkwardness of your pitching staff is doing amazing up until July, and the bats just aren't getting it done. And so there's going to be a rift there. Like there will be. I imagine as a team, you want to be supportive of each other. But if your pitching staff is going night in and night out, especially with calling up Paul Skenes, and if he does, another thing, another thing that was referenced on that North Shore 9 episode with Stump was they were basically saying like how lucky the Pirates are about how Jared Jones is pitching, and that how if Paul Skenes comes up and pitches like Jared Jones is, we'd all be ecstatic.
That's like the best case scenario.
Yeah. and so the fact that we're in that scenario, say that scenario comes to fruition, it continues to happen throughout the early parts of the summer, and the bats just aren't getting it done. I understand that as a teammate, you want to support each other, but there comes a time where if you're a pitcher, I know if you don't outwardly say anything to the media or anything, in that clubhouse, I'm sure there's going to be some frustration, especially if you're in the starting rotation and you're just not getting any support. And I know that that would probably, and maybe I'm wrong on this, I would guess that the guys in that rotation would look and direct that anger towards Haynes instead of their teammates. But that would be my guess.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I mean, I mentioned Quinn. He's gotten 1 run scored for him in his 4 starts total. Not 1 per game. He's gotten 1 run scored for him in total in his 4 starts, which is absolutely insane to think. But like Martin Perez not getting run support. You just mentioned Jared Jones. I would love to, on every episode, just be sitting here talking about how good the pitching is and at least be talking about the bats are doing enough, because they really haven't been asked to do that much with what their starting pitching has given them, and they're still not getting it done. Jared Jones should be the topic of conversation pretty much for every single Pirates podcast right now, along with now Paul Skenes coming up. But we can't talk about that as much because this offense continues to lay goose egg after goose egg. I know they scored 4 runs today, all came in 1 inning. They scored 8 runs in this series against the Angels, which was the second series the Angels have won all year, the only other one being a sweep of the Marlins in their second series. The Pirates scored 8 runs in this series, and they happened in 2 innings. 1 was a grand slam by Edward Olivares, and then they scored 4 runs in 1 inning today, 3 off of a Cruz base clearing double, and then Connor Joe single following that up. That's it against the Los Angeles Angels. They just lost 6 out of 9 to the Oakland A's, Colorado Rockies, and Los Angeles Angels combined. I mean, that's like, this was a chance for them going into that series against the A's to get back on track because they were playing pretty poorly even going into that series with Oakland. But that was an opportunity to right the ship with these 3 straight series back to back to back. Now you got the Cubs coming here this weekend. I know Paul Skenes is coming up. By the way, how cool does that look on paper, though? That we now got Jared Jones, Paul Skenes, and Mitch Keller this weekend going against the Cubs. That's like going back to when was the last time that they were able to throw that out? 2015, probably. Last time they were a playoff team where they could throw out like Garrett Cole, Liriano, and Burnett or something like that all in the 3 in a row.
Yeah.
But so I'm looking forward to this weekend for sure. But something's got to give. To me, the easiest thing to do would be cutting bait with Haynes, but I just don't see it happening. Speaking of cutting, Keeks Barbershop, located at 401 Burkitch Way, Suite 2 in Beaver, PA. Our friends at Keeks Barbershop. Christian's been supporting the podcast basically since day one, so go support him. Download the app, The Cut, book an appointment with Christian, or you can do a walk-in with Tony and Ashley. Again, Keeks Barbershop, 401 Burkitch Way, Suite 2 in Beaver, PA. Logo above Tyler if you were watching on YouTube, or you see it scrolling across the bottom. As always, we don't have a code for a discount there. Just go get your haircut. How'd you feel about that transition? Feeling good about that one? I was trying to figure out a way to get cut in there.
I thought that was good. Yeah. Another part of this team, though, that was struggling, and over the past week, I'm just looking at the kind of the splits over the past month, has improved, though, is the bullpen. Because the bullpen was pretty big disappointment. And looking at their stats of like the past 30 days to 15 days to 7 days, even guys in there have been improving. So not just the rotation, but the pitching staff as a whole has gotten better as of late. It's just the bats are so unproductive that it doesn't matter. If you, it literally feels like if there's a multi-run lead against the other team, for the other team, the Pirates cannot overcome that, and that's the point where we've gotten to, which is the complete opposite of what the first few weeks felt like.
Yeah, my question with the bullpen though is where in the world is Carmen Laginski? Like, he's healthy. He's just in AAA. What are we doing? He's probably like the third best reliever.
I thought he was supposed to come back while I was in Europe.
I mean, he's probably like the third best reliever on this team right now at the major league level. What are we doing?
Yeah, like I think that the episode before I left, we talked about how he's going to be healthy, so he'll be back. Well, it's been 2 weeks, and he's not back.
Yeah, I thought he would spend a little bit of time at AAA just kind of getting things ramped back up, like even after his rehab assignment there. But like they ended his rehab assignment and was just assigned to AAA. So I don't know. You got him in the pipeline. Trying to figure out what's going on with Marco Gonzalez and Ryan Baraki. If they could get Marco Gonzalez back too, getting Skenes up here, they're gonna have a nice set of rotation arms there. Granted, again, like I don't think that Bailey Falter or Quinn Priest are pitching like so poorly that you need to push them out of the rotation. But like, if you're giving me Jones, Skenes, Keller, Perez, and then whoever like that, that can compete as long as the bats get going. Like, man.
Well, do you agree with me that it feels like if they get, I mean, not even a multi-run lead, if the other team gets a lead, it just feels like the Pirates are not going to overcome it right now.
I basically tweet it's over, the game's over after the other team scores every single game. So yeah, I'm fully on board with that. Like they don't have the ability to come back against teams. No matter what the deficit is, it feels like it's unsurmountable. So I don't know. I don't know that there's like maybe just the juice that Skenes is going to bring will be enough to be a shot in the arm for the offense too. I wouldn't stop there. Like I said, I'm bringing Nick Gonzalez with him at the very least, and I'm on board with bringing Jake Lamb up as well with what he's done at AAA. So I'd be looking for any way to give this offense a shot in the arm.
Yeah, well, I would be too, because you got several people batting below their weight right now, well below their weight, and it's pretty disappointing. We actually had one more question that was baseball related. It wasn't necessarily, you might have missed it because it was from Ross, so you probably didn't take it seriously. But I thought it was actually an interesting question to ask, and so I want us to discuss it. If we had to sacrifice our podcast around the 412 and everything that we've done, if we had to sacrifice that for a Pirates World Series, would we do it? I think it's an interesting question.
Yeah, sure. There's a workaround here. We start another podcast not called Around the 412.
We go with our original thought process before Herb changed the name to Around the 4-2 and just do Around the Berg.
Oh, so bad. So bad. We were so, like, and I still really struggle with names. Like, we're trying to, I don't want to give too much away on here, especially, but like, we're trying to do some more stuff with Steelers now, and we're looking for a name for something. And I cannot come up. I spent 2 days trying to come up. Literally, that was the only thing on my mind, was trying to think of a podcast name, and can't do it. So I'm really bad with that. Herb finally switched the name, and we didn't even do our logo. Evil Neil, if you guys remember that name from Pirates Twitter, is the one that did our logo. So, yeah, we're not the most creative when it comes to that, but I would have to say, if it meant a Pirates World Series, that's also for the greater good. I think everybody would be very upset with us if we would not do that. So,
if the fate of the Pittsburgh Pirates hinged on our podcast, would we be that selfish? Because that's a totally selfish decision on our part if we just said no.
Right. Yeah.
Because
the workaround there is fine. Is just starting a new. I mean, that would be like, this has been going for, this will be 7 years. Well, I was just saying July because that's when we came up with it, but really August, since we recorded the first episode. So like, we're 3 months away from being 7 years into this podcast is Around the 412, which sounds crazy to say. It would suck to have to just like, because that's what people know us as. But
hit a hard
again,
reset.
For the greater good, like for a Pirates World Series, I mean, yeah. It's an easy yes.
Maybe we would change it to what people have told us we need to change it to in the past when they were hating on us, Around the 724.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we're not
what's your area code?
Around the 918. Yeah, 918 is Tulsa.
Then they'd be really confused.
Yeah, we're gonna start a podcast talking about the Central Valley Warriors and the Tulsa Drillers.
Yep.
Very niche.
People
I would 100% sacrifice the podcast as much as it would pain me. Here's the contingent though. We could sacrifice the pod. We sacrifice Around the 412, but we would have to keep rocking Around the 412. I'm not giving that up.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sorry, but providing kids Christmas is more important than my favorite baseball team winning a championship.
Yeah, you know what? We were going to be the bad guys for keeping Around the 412. Now you guys are the bad guys if you'd rather have the Pirates win the World Series than have the fundraiser.
Would you guys rather have a World Series or children get Christmas? Now you have to answer. Tweet us and let us know.
Yeah. There you go. I like it. Yeah, we're not even talking about Pirates baseball anymore, but
kind of.
Very excited. It's for Saturday. I will be there for the game on Saturday.
Do you think he has a pitch count? Do you think he has they're going to have a pitch count for him?
Man, I hope not for them. I know that that's going to be a thing, obviously, throughout this season for certain starts, just like with Jared Jones. First one, I really hope not. Like
what if he hit finally what if he hit 75 innings or 75 pitches? 75 innings. Jeez. What if he hit 75 pitches and they're just like, all right, come out. But he gave up like one hit, no runs, and he's only in like the 6th inning.
That's more because like depending on the offense isn't going to score enough to put him in line for a win. Like if it was in like the 4th inning and that happened, I'd be more upset. The 6th inning, like I would be like, I'd rather this not happen, but I could also like I wouldn't be that upset if it happened in like the 6th inning. Even if I know that he had more left in the tank than 75 pitches. But if it was like if he's only going like 4 innings.
4 innings doesn't even register you a win. And I know wins is a pointless stat for a starting pitcher, but still, like that doesn't even
for us. For him, he definitely wants to win.
Yeah. For him, he wants to win. But like, yeah, for us, like a season outlook, wins doesn't necessarily say how well you actually pitched. Like, ergo, what the Pirates are doing right now.
Right. So their starting pitchers can't buy wins.
But if you don't get him at least past 5 to get him to even qualify for a win, I mean, that's stupid. But I'm excited. I'm excited to watch that.
Yeah, I'm excited to be in person. I got right before the prices like went up super crazy. As soon as I saw that Skenes was coming up, I jumped on and got tickets for $35 a piece, front row in the outfield. Immediately, like within 10 minutes, I'm sitting there eating dinner. I go back on cheapest tickets, $80.
Did you get them on Game Time?
Game Time. Mm-hmm.
I'm just
use code AT412 on SeatGeek for 0% off.
Yeah. Right now, they're not cheap. They're like 70 something for the cheapest.
Yeah.
And it's only going up.
Right. People are excited. I'm excited to be down there and feel that atmosphere. Hopefully they can deliver. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be like a playoff like atmosphere, but like for a regular season game, this is probably like as big as it can get.
Do you think maybe this is an awful comparison? I'm just going to say that right before I throw it out there. But do you remember when did we go together? Whenever Chris Archer made his Pirates debut?
I wasn't in attendance. I watched.
You weren't
on TV,
there.
But,
I remember there was so much juice around that game, and for no reason, ultimately. But but there was so much juice around that game. I'm just trying to see, like, has there been a debut between that Chris Archer debut? Because even though you weren't there, you know how like big of a deal that was at the time. To now, like, can you think of one in that like 5-6 season stretch that has been like that?
No, I mean Reynolds didn't have that same, like, he wasn't supposed to be this. Hayes was during COVID. No one was at the park.
Keller was what, 2019?
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he was trash early.
Yeah, but like it wasn't even like he had the prospect status to command like this, something like this.
I mean, honestly, one of the bigger ones was probably Jared Jones this year.
Yeah, and it was on opening day, like at home, his home debut. So like he started in Miami, obviously the first one, but
that I think that first start built the juice for that second that home opener.
Yeah, if you didn't preface by saying since the Archer one, Garrett Coles was crazy. Like that was insane. So that to me, this is like that one, maybe even a little bit more. But that's the most comparable thing. I think that's the most comparable debut that we've seen. People were excited about Meadows. We were in a suite for Meadows.
That's true.
Debut.
That's true. Shout out to Pirates social media trying to get people into that suite. We just happened. Actually, thanks to Herb for being on his phone, and he saw the picture and just looked to his right, and there they were.
Yeah, it was a fun time. But yeah, those are the only ones that like even come close to how I feel like the buzz is going to be on Saturday for Paul Skenes. So I'm excited. Let us know if you guys are going to be down there. Maybe we can meet up. Well, me, not Tyler, but Tyler will be there in spirit.
I'll be there in spirit. I'll tell you where I will be though.
Yeah,
I will be at I don't even know what's it called. Is it called Consol Energy Park on August 22nd? With the Washington Wild things. I feel like we gotta bring that up on the baseball episode.
I was like, what in the world are you talking about? Yeah, I guess we should bring that up on here. Okay, well, that is also news to me that you are for sure going to be here for that. So that's good to know. But yeah, hit us up if you guys want tickets. We are going to be throwing out the first pitch and hanging out. We'll be in a suite for the Wild Things versus, what is the name of this team that they're playing? Is this pronounced Joliet? Joliet Slammers.
It's probably at Joliet, Illinois. That's what I would guess.
Okay. Anyways, this is on August 22nd. So obviously you got some time there before that takes place. But Consol Energy Park. Yeah, you were right.
And it is Joliet, Illinois. Man.
Wow. There you go. So hit us up if you guys want tickets. I got a link to get you guys free tickets for the game. And then, not that, Tyler and I will be participating, but $1 Coors Light pints. It is a Coors Light night. And it's also college night, I believe, as well, something like that. But yeah, really excited. We're going to be throwing out the first pitch. Hopefully we don't look like fools doing so. We're excited.
Yeah, it'll be pretty cool. Yeah, but it's confirmed. I will be there that weekend. So be at that game, and then probably either Friday or Saturday night, because the Pirates do have a homestand that weekend. Going to be going down to the ballpark as well.
Good timing. Who's in town?
Oh, I don't even know. I just, all I checked was if they're home or not. That was literally my main
You
priority.
know who's
Didn't matter
real
who they
juiced
were
up
playing.
about who else is real juiced up about Skenes coming up? Steelers tight end Pat Freiermuth.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Livy Dunn.
Well, yeah, I'm sure she is as well. The Reds are in town that week to play the Pirates. The weekend to play the Pirates.
The Pirates play Cincinnati the weekend in August that I'll be home. So divisional matchup. Cool matchup. Pat Freiermuth, happy about Paul Skenes. That's cool.
Yeah, he wants to go to a game. He said we should go next week, and I was like, well, problem with that is they're on the road, pal. So we're gonna try to hit a game the following week when they are back home. See when Skenes is pitching. But
how about you just tell them to look at the schedule next time?
Yeah, I was like, well, they're in Milwaukee, and I don't remember who else they're on the road against.
You should be like, dude, you're a professional athlete. You know how schedules work.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know if he can just get a suite whenever. I know he was in a suite both nights during the Red Sox ones, but if we're gonna be in a suite, that'll be sick. So, yeah, excited to go watch Skenes pitch. It sounds like I'm gonna see for two of his first 3 starts and both of his first starts at home. So super excited. Let me know if you guys will be down there as well. Final shout out that we got to give Everything Custom Designs, our friend Haley Wagner's small business. We have the link to that in the description. Whether you're watching this show or listening to it on whatever platform, the link will be there in the description. Does a lot of custom t-shirts, hoodies, started doing tumblers, glass tumblers recently. I should just always have it sitting by me, but I don't. But I do have one of those as well. The only thing she really doesn't do is hats. Maybe she'll get into the hat game down the road, but as of right now, she does not. Got those sent out for people that won some of our t-shirts during the draft. So hopefully we see Kim and Jay and Marcus rocking those in the near future. Pat's got some stuff. I've got stuff. I got to get a shirt out to Derek because he keeps complaining about not having one. So, yeah, we'll make sure. I want to get those out to more people. I recently downloaded some of our older designs as well, the images that I'm going to send over to Haley and see if she can do something with those as well. I'm trying to bring them back. We were talking, Sarge Hat was wearing one of our older hoodies during, I think it was night 2 of the draft. He had like the gray with a circular logo and then has the black sleeves, which might be like my favorite piece of merch that we've come out with. I want to see if we can kind of replicate something along those lines. So, yeah, anyways, I'm going on a tangent, but hit up Haley if you want to get around the 412 shirt or anything else customized. Summer coming up, concerts, she does stuff for concerts, all that good stuff. But I think that'll do it for the Around the 412 Pirates show. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave us a 5-star review if you were listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, you can find Around the 412. Until next time, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.